So first off, I just want to welcome everyone to our Fake Away cooking class. I'm super excited to be here tonight with some of my team members. I am a local team leader in Newcastle. So if you're joining us anywhere in Australia, hello. Even if you are from overseas, hello. So tonight we're bringing you a Fake Away class where we'll be able to showcase cookie dough and also some recipes as well. Some of the recipes, some of the elements have already been pre-done, but we will explain the process throughout the demonstration tonight. If you have any questions or anything that you like or anything at all, just pop it in the chat or come off mute if you are feeling confident, and we'll be able to answer all of your questions as well. Myself and my beautiful team have put everything together for you tonight. So just sit back, relax and enjoy. So I'm just going to share my screen wherever that is. There we go. And if at any time any of the consultants or myself are talking too quickly or moving too fast for you, please just tell us to slow down in the chat, or again, come off mute and tell us to slow down. Now, I'm just sharing my screen, so just give me a wave if everyone can see the screen now, and it's changed to cookie dough. Yep, all good. Okay, so if at any time you feel like a certain takeaway, we just need to think of a theme. So whether that be Chinese or whether that's Mexican or whether that's Indian, or it could even just be pizza. So all we need to do with our filtering system is we just need to go to the search tab and type in, let's just type in pizza. Now you can see up in the left-hand corner here, it will have your filtering system. I've got mine preset on Australia, United Kingdom and USA, which means all of those three countries, all of those recipes come up for more options for me. So I've got 239 options when it comes to pizza. So you could literally just make pizza dough, which you'll see later tonight, and just do your own toppings, whatever you're feeling like, just using your filtering system. What I love also about the filtering system is if you need to leave ingredients out, so an example would be onion. So if you couldn't have anything that contained onion, in the ingredients tab here, you would type onion. Now in the tag section, if you needed anything to be gluten-free, dairy-free, whatever it may be, that's where you would type it in there as well. So your search would then be more precise as to what you're searching. So then that way you're not looking at stuff that you can't have necessarily. So that's another way to do that. What you can also do, like I said, is choose Chinese. So we just type in that, hit enter, and again, we have 224 results when it comes to Chinese. Again, you'll see something tonight being made in that cuisine to be able to make it home as well. So yeah, does anyone have any questions so far about cookie dough? So with cookie dough, you have access to over 66,000 recipes. There is a subscription, but the subscription is honestly the best value for money. If you were to buy any of the cookbooks individually, you'd be paying about $60. So our subscription is $59 a year, which means you're getting access to all of those recipes. So any new cookbooks or any new recipes that come available, you get automatic access to that rather than waiting and having to buy the cookbook, etc. If you still love cookbooks, the best thing is you can still buy the cookbooks, but you get to cook live on your Thermomix through cookie dough. So it is definitely a platform that I would definitely recommend and great value for money. So I'm just going to stop sharing now because you kind of get the gist of cookie dough. So what we're going to start with first is our first cuisine, which is Mexican. So in the chat, I would love to know what's your favorite Mexican dish. So what is something that you either order out or you make all the time at home, whatever it may be, I would love to hear from you. Or come off mute if you want to say it out loud. Oh, enchiladas, delicious. So if you haven't tried them yet on cookie dough, there is sour cream and chicken enchiladas. They do make a monster. So if you are wanting to entertain or have a large family, the sour cream chicken enchiladas are amazing and they're freezable, which means you can meal prep as well. What else have we got in there? Nachos. Oh, so delicious. Yum, beef and bean enchiladas, delicious. Awesome. So I might hand it over to Sharon. So I'm going to share her and put her as a spotlight so all of you can see Sharon now. And she's going to present some tacos.
Hi everyone, my name is Sharon Collins. I'm over here in Lake Macquarie, and thanks for coming on board tonight to join us in our online cooking class. And I'm first cab off the rank. So tonight we're doing the beef tacos because I found it in the Fakeaway collection, which is our theme to do with fast takeaway instead of having to go out and buy it. But there are other things while it's cooking that I'd like to talk to you about, just other options. So for those of you that don't eat much meat or are vegetarian or vegan, I will cover off a few things as the cooking's moving along. So I will get started. The first thing I did was bring up the recipe that I was looking for through the Cookadoo app, and I saved it to cook today so that when I come over to my machine, I can just go to the 3 lines there on the left-hand top corner and press my week, and that will bring up the recipes that we're cooking tonight. So Elaine's on a little while later with the chicken dish, and I'm clicking on beef tacos. Now, before you start a recipe for the first time, it's always a good idea to check, just like as if you were checking a recipe book. So always go through the ingredient list to make sure I've got everything. Don't worry about the prep side over here because that's the steps you'll go through one by one. And you know that there's a nutrition panel there, which is a great idea for anyone that's looking at what's in their food or weight issues that they're looking at. It tells you what utensils you need and any hints or tips that they'd like you to know about. And the one hint that's in here is that you can make your own taco seasoning. So when I keyed in on Cookadoo, some things like tacos, nachos, and Mexican that I looked at tonight, the first thing that came up was taco seasoning. So you can easily put together a taco seasoning of your own. And that's a lot of fun just to make things like that on a rainy day, on a weekend. And then you've got some nice things in the cupboard that you've pre-prepared yourself. So we've looked it up. We know we've got all our ingredients ready to go, and we press start cooking. And at this point, you need to take your lid off, of course, and re-tear your scales. And like most recipes on Cookadoo, they're well thought out. So we're going to grate our cheddar cheese and put it aside before we start on with the main recipe. So in goes some diced cheese. That's it. And pressing next. Lid and cap going on. And it's asking for 3 seconds on speed 7, so off we go. Don't you love how quick it is when you're preparing things with your Thermomix? When I take my lid off, I always turn it upside down so it doesn't make a mess on the bench. And that just transfers straight into a bowl. Put aside for later to top our tacos with. Now, it does say to clean and dry the mixing bowl. So my handy dandy helper over here can have that one, and I'll grab another bowl. I'm pinching this one, Elaine. Go for it. You might want to put another one there. Okay. I don't need to dirty up the lid though. We can keep the lid. The
beauty of having 2 bowls.
Yeah, 2 bowls. That's all about the 2-bowl promotion this month, which we may talk about a little while later. So we've got a clean and dry mixing bowl through the beauty of modern television. And now we're up to popping in a few ingredients to make the taco filling. So 2 garlic cloves going in. And it's asking us to give them a chop now. So lid on, cap in, give it a little tweak so you know it's on properly. And it's just asking us for speed 7 for 3 seconds. Always a go-to. What I like about this recipe is that it doesn't ask us to scrape the bowl down, which is a bit rare. I will steal the bits back off the lid rather than losing them. But instead of scraping it down, we're just going to leave it up the sides for some reason. I'll just show you that. It's all chopped and ready to go. And now it's asking us to put in 200 grams of brown onion, but you have to be aware of which way it's asking you to chop your onion. So in a lot of the dishes, it's all about halving an onion or quartering an onion. But in this case, when it comes to high heat cooking, it usually asks for wedges, 3 to 4 centimeter wedges. There's a little bit of traction that the machine feels as it's starting to heat on that higher heat, and it likes to have the chunkier onion for that. So we're going to just re-tear those scales, make sure nothing's touching it, and putting in our onion. And next, a little bit of oil to saute in. And pressing next. Okay, so we need a splash guard, Elaine, for the next step. I'll borrow one of those off you, thanks. I'm at Elaine's house tonight, so we're double dipping here. Putting the lid on, but instead of the cap, we're going for a splash guard, which is great for when you're evaporating things or trying to lose a bit of the moisture, and it's got the holes in it, so it just means it's not splattering all over the kitchen. That's it. Thanks, Elaine. Good on you. If you're not close enough, you'll have to tell me, but I can't read all those little things that are going on there. 4 minutes, highest temperature. All we're doing when you've got those wavy signs is high heat bowl. Just give the dial a spin. It locks the splash guard in place. And now it's doing a lovely saute. Now, it will stop and it will feel what's in the bowl, and then it will continue on, or maybe it will just be very quiet for a moment and start heating up the bowl before it continues to move on, or the blades to turn again. And that's all perfectly normal. So while the onions are sauteing, I made a little note about some of the things I discovered on my Cookadoo app on my phone today. So when I looked up Mexican, I found that let's just say we keyed in tacos. There was the beef ones from this Fake Away menu collection. And then there was other things like cauliflower tacos. So if you're vegetarian and you're not interested in the beef, there's some really nice recipes. There was turkey. There was a fish option for tacos. I found a zucchini one where you're actually making the tortillas out of zucchini. And in that recipe, there was falafels as well. It was a really crazy recipe, but it also had an amazing hot cheese sauce. And I thought, wow, I've got to go back and check out that recipe. That sounds really good. Elaine, you've made that one?
Amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So Elaine's already made that. And you can just make one element out of a recipe. You don't have to make the whole recipe. So there's 3 things in that recipe. There's the zucchini tortillas, there's the falafels, and then there's this amazing hot cheesy sauce. I'm not sure what the real name of it is. I found by Googling Mexican, I found that layer dip. Now, who hasn't made a layer dip before? The Mexican layer dip is always amazing. Angela's saying I've made that one too. That's awesome. Okay, so some people are just starting to join in now. Okay, so the layer dip's always a winner, and the gluten-free tortillas I was a bit excited about. Under Mexican, I found that the soup, there's a great Mexican soup that I've made before. I think it's a chicken one, but of course you could substitute with anything you wanted. Slow cooked beef is in there, and Mexican cottage pie. When you Google nachos, you've got one with beans and cashew sour cream. So there's another element that you could do for any dish. If you want to do something that's non-dairy, go and find that recipe with the cashew sour cream in it. That's a really good one to try. They had a black bean hummus in one of the recipes, and even an Asian nachos with a fabulous Asian salad. So some of these side elements are worth having a look at, even if you're not interested in the main part of the dish. Some included pork bits, and others were chicken, and others were beef. And they had like a black mole, which was like a chili chocolate thing. Don't quote me there. When I keyed in Mexican, the first thing that came up was the Mexican stack, which was the recipe that I developed many years ago and submitted into our first vegetarian cookbook. When Western Australia head office were looking for recipes to add to their new Australian selection. And Alicia is saying your recipe is famous. Yep, that's what I hear. It goes viral every now and again. So if you haven't made the Mexican stack, you got to make it. And of course, it's just basic nacho sauce that I make, and mine's a vegetarian one. And of course, if you want to add mince, you can. But I like to put lots of veggies in that one and beans. And that's just a nice dish for my family to have, get a bit of a rest from the meat dishes that the boys like to eat. There's also nachos chips that you can make. They're made with polenta and parmesan and some plain flour. So those are the notes that I've made. And if anybody would like to join in, we've still got 11 seconds. I love the fact that I can tell you when the next part of the recipe is coming up. So I don't know if you can see that, but
You've done this before, Sharon. You've done this before.
Maybe. Okay. So now it's asking me to put the measuring cap in. Let's just have a quick look in there. I like stirring things. So even though it's saying just put the cap on, I'm going to give those onions a little stir. Around we go. Why not? Just so they don't catch on the bottom with all that high heat cooking. It's just saying to put the cap on now. And next. And just a tiny, we're chopping. Now we're chopping the onions because we had them bigger for the high heat work. So speed 5 for 4 seconds. Now, sometimes things like onion, chili, garlic, and ginger will chop on speed 7 for 3 seconds. And this dish is going for speed 5, so a larger chop, not so fine. Don't really need it too fine. And I'll show you that one. Oh, it smells so good already, doesn't it? The garlic, the onion, the beauty of the high heat bowl of your TM6 means that everything's got that beautiful high heat flavour. Oh, that's a strong onion. Okay, so I've given that a bit of a stir. I don't know if you can see that. I got a bit carried away there. All right. Okay, in goes the mince. It's asking for 250 grams to start with. So we're just going to put in some beautiful Australian beef mince. And yeah, we're getting there, close. That's close enough. And the next step is to add a tiny bit more oil. I did practice the recipe at home and I didn't like the amount of oil that it wanted me to add in each step. So I'm not putting as much in. Now splash guard's going back on. So cap off, splash guard on. That's done. And just turn, don't do what I was just about to do, which is press next because we've already got there. 5 minutes, highest temperature, give it a spin. And now we've got 5 minutes where I'm happy to, Alicia or Emma, would you like to take over for a few minutes while the meat's cooking?
Or we might switch over to Ange, and Ange can get her.
Thanks, Ange.
Her stuff done. And I will spotlight Ange.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ange. I'm a consultant up in Singleton, so a little bit further than probably some of you guys are in Newcastle. So I am taking care of the pizza component for our takeaway menu tonight. So I know that pizza is probably a super popular option for everyone, but it's definitely one that that we generally make at home. We generally don't buy pizza. We tend to make it at home. So I have pre-made one of the doughs, which I'll grab and I'll show you in a second. But just as a different option tonight, I'm going to try making the cauliflower pizza crust. Okay, so just to give you something different, maybe you've got a whole bunch of leftover cauliflower, or maybe you've bought a cauliflower and you just didn't use it. Well, maybe this is an option in how to use that up. So we're going to give that a try tonight. So what we're going to start with is I've got the cauliflower pizza crust, it's called. So we just go start cooking. So I've got some Parmesan cheese cut up and ready to go. So pop the lid on. So this is just going to blitz that Parmesan cheese. So 15 seconds. So it's going to be a little loud. So bear with me for a second. Sorry about that. Parmesan cheese is like one of the loudest things you can possibly do And unfortunately, my
The
children.
great thing about Zoom, though, Ange, it cuts out all of the noise of the Thermomix, so you can't hear anything.
Perfect. That makes me feel better. Except it probably woke my children. Oopsies. Anyway, they'll be right. Once they're asleep, they're good. So we've got the Parmesan cheese, which I just cut into cubes, and it's made it down into a really nice fine grate on that. Which part of it will go in the base, and then the other part, I believe, is to go as part of the topping. So I've transferred that to a bowl. Now we're going to add the cauliflower. So it recommends 1 whole cauliflower, which is approximately 600 grams. So all I've done is I've cut the cauliflower into sort of florets like that, just roughly. Again, it doesn't need to be too fancy, because first step is going to be to blitz that cauliflower, so it really doesn't matter how it looks. So one escaped. Here we go. So I've got 600 grams. So we're going to now give that a blitz to start with. So 5 seconds and around to speed 5 to chop that all up. So the cauliflower now is nice and finely chopped like that, okay? So this would be the same as if you were going to make a cauliflower soup, or I really like the Skinny Mix's cauliflower sauce, which I use in place of vegetable sauce. So now what it's going to get me to do is it's going to get me to put it into the simmering basket. So we're going to transfer all that cauliflower into the simmering basket. So the simmering basket's going to keep it whole, like intact. So rather than doing it in the varoma, like you'd be making cauliflower rice, this is going to, so still turn it into sort of cauliflower rice, but cook it rather than steam it. Let's get those last bits out. So the bowl's the simmering basket's quite full. There we go. But as you know, it's got its max fill line, so that will keep it in place, and the lid will also keep it in place as well. So we've transferred that to the simmering basket, and we're going to put in 500 grams of boiling water, which I'm just in the process of finishing off. I had boiled the jug earlier, so it's just finishing off. So that will go in to cook our cauliflower. So by having it boiling already, I mean, a lot of recipes, you would be able to boil the water and then add your cauliflower in, which we could do. You could use the kettle mode to boil your water. You can do that sort of thing. But this recipe, I guess it's to help speed up that cooking time and not have the heating time. It gets you to put in the boiled water. So we'll pop that in there. Just about done, just about done. It's always, you know, when you're waiting for it, it's the worst bit. So the kettle mode is also really good in the TM6 for, you know, you can use it to boil your pasta and all of those sorts of things as well. You could use it in place of a kettle if you were taking it camping or you were going away or doing something like that. So great functions that you can use in the TM6 that's available, which is really handy. Cuts down on those other appliances that you might not need. Push that down just a little bit so that it doesn't come out of the lid. There we go. So 500 grams of boiling water. And then we're going to set the simmering basket. Set the measuring cup. I feel like I've missed a step. Transfer and insert into mixing bowl. Yes. So that will go into there. Boiling water's gone in. And then that is now going to cook for 15 minutes on Varoma 10 and at speed 2. So while that happens, it recommends that you preheat your oven to 200 degrees. So I'm going to do that. Line a tray with baking paper, so I'll do that as well. So I'll get all of that stuff happening in the meantime. So do you want to keep going? Do you want to go back to Sharon and then you can come back to me in about 15?
Well, I'm here. Alicia, did you want to swap us back over?
Yeah, I will replace Spotlight.
There
we go.
Hi, everyone. So while you were away learning all about fabulous cauliflower pizza doughs, we had 250 grams of mince at high heat temperature, sauteing or braising or whatever you like to call it in the bowl. And then it asked me to get it out. So out came the onion and the mince and the garlic. And that's put aside so that the other 250 grams can be done on the high heat. So we actually have 3 minutes to go of the second batch of high heat mince. So Alicia, is there anything that you'd like to talk about while we're waiting?
I think Ange had already pre-done just some plain dough. So maybe she could have a chat about her plain pizza dough before she finishes off her cauliflower pizza.
I'll just add.
Oh, there's Elaine. Come on, you know.
Sorry, because I've done this recipe for the beef tacos before, and I've got a big family, so often I do 1 kilo of mince. It's really easy. So after you've done the 2 lots of 250 grams, I just, sorry if you lost me. Okay, I just go back a step and repeat it. So yeah, that's you can do however much mince you like. You just want to go back a step to add that in. So yeah, that's all I had.
So just talk me through that again. You can add more mince, but you do it in more steps. Just add more 250 grams at a time.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay, so we've got 2 minutes left. What did you want to talk about, Alicia?
I'm just going to swap over to Ange and spotlight her.
So as I mentioned earlier, I've actually pre-made the normal pizza dough. So I've got it here. I've got it proving in my silicone mat. So that's it there. So I personally prefer the plain pizza dough from the Pizza Bianca recipe, but there's so many choices out there. It's just finding what you want. There's also people, who love the Thermomama recipe. She has one for pizza dough and that as well. So it's just finding what you like. The other recipe uses lukewarm water. I can't be bothered with that. I just whack in cold water and go on from there. But as Alicia mentioned, my silicone mat I use all the time for my pizza dough. It is brilliant. It's also got the circles on it, which is really helpful if you're making pastry and that sort of thing. You can roll out your pastry to the size of your pie dish that you're making. So all I'm going to do now, so with the normal pizza dough, all I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it wrapped. I'm going to leave it for a little bit longer, and I'm not going to use it tonight. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to break it in half, and I'm going to put it in 2 balls, and I'm going to freeze it. So in our house, only my hubby and I eat pizza. Yes, my children are strange and they don't. So what I do is I'll break it in half once it's proved, and I'll just freeze it in 2 halves. So that way, when I do want pizza for takeaway or fake away, all I have to do is grab it out in the morning, whack it in the fridge, let it defrost. It's ready to roll out. It's ready to put your toppings on and cook as soon as you're ready. So I guess it just saves a bit of time in terms of being able to pre-make it and freeze it. It's a really good recipe for being able to do that. So as I said, you don't have to prove it all that long. You can prove it for, just 15 minutes if that was all you wanted to do. But I'm going to leave it a little bit longer this time because it's not going to hurt it, just to give it that little bit extra rise, and then I'll break it in half from there. So we'll wrap it all back up again. And the mat is great because it also allows it to be able to do that proving time as well, and it'll expand within the mat, and that will keep it all nice and safe. And then it's all, if I was going to continue on, well, then I can roll it straight out on the mat. So I'm just going to pop it aside, and let it do its proof, and we'll go from there. So how's your tacos going, Shaz? They nearly done? Do you want to go back to Sharon?
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So over here, the meat has just finished cooking, and it's asked me to add the first batch back in, the reserved beef that had the onion and the garlic in it. So I've just put that in, and the next step says to add 50 grams of tomato paste. So that's going in next. There we go, close enough. Next one is 70 grams of water, Elaine. Have you got something that I can just have a tiny bit of water? I'll show you Sharon's party trick for this water. Put the lid on, put the cap on. I'm right-handed, so I'll just turn that so you can see it. Thanks so much. Good on you. So when I just want little amounts of something, just so that I don't add too much into the bowl, I'm going to pour into the little MC or the measuring cup on top until I get the exact amount that it asks for. You've got a lot more control of little things when you go into the cap there. And then it's just simply a matter of tipping the whole lid over. If that was an egg that I cracked in there, I'll just leave that for a moment to come out. All right, so that's done. And now it's asking for some taco seasoning. So some of that beautiful homemade taco seasoning's going in, 20 to 30 grams. Well, let's get daring and go 30. What do you reckon, Elaine?
Absolutely. I'm a big on flavour person.
Yeah, you love the flavours. I think it's all going in. There we go. Perfect amount. And now it wants the lid back on and the cap. And 3 minutes just to finish off the recipe at 100 degrees. Guided cooking means it's already going on to reverse, speed 1. So I love the fact that you don't have to remember to turn the blades in the other direction onto the dull edge, onto reverse, when you're cooking things that need to maintain the integrity, like risotto rice or vegetables or meats in a soup or stew, or in this case, some mince going into our beautiful tacos. So we've just got a couple of minutes of combining and cooking that all together. So any questions from anyone, or does anyone want to share what Mexican dishes you've been making at home? I'd love to hear from you. Typing away there, or you can come off mute if you want to.
I just realised, Sharon, it's Taco Tuesday. So what a perfect
Tuesday.
day to run a cooking class.
So where's Taco Tuesday? Is that an international thing?
No, it's just a thing. Like if I don't know if you've ever seen like people post and they're like Taco Tuesday. They normally have Mexican on a Tuesday. So
I learned it from the Lego movie.
yeah. So what we might do, how many minutes have you got to go, Sharon?
Yeah, I've only got 1:58, like less than 2 minutes. And Vanessa's written here, I can't wait to be able to cook like you, and I can't see the rest. Emma can see
She's receiving her Thermomix tomorrow, so I'm so excited for her.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm going to do now is probably finish off this recipe and then construct a taco. So if you want to move on, Alicia, to
so Elaine's next. So we might just turn the camera onto the other Thermi and get started with Elaine's recipe.
Sounds good. We'll move it over. You're on, Elaine. Do you want to clear your recipe? Yeah. Okay. Let me just see where you are. Now, is that your Thermomix?
Yeah.
Alicia, if I need to move the camera, you'll let us know.
Yep. Yeah, maybe a little bit that way, but perfect.
How's that?
Good work.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. I'm Elaine, and tonight we're making the Kung Pao chicken. So for those of you who like Chinese takeaway, what's great about this is there's no additives. There's no GMO. Is it GMO? No, not GMO. What's that thing, that stuff that's bad?
I don't know. I think that's it.
MSG?
That's the one. Thank you.
What did she say?
MSG.
MSG,
That's what I was
right.
thinking. My husband, we never get to order Chinese takeaway because my husband reacts very badly to Chinese food, but the homemade stuff he's awesome with. So yeah, so tonight we've got the Kung Pao chicken. I've actually already marinated the chicken. So that just marinates for 1 hour. And that is, we've got light soy sauce, dark soy sauce, Chinese cooking wine, black vinegar. Oh, so I'm lifting them up but not showing them, sorry. Here's my...
So you had to go to the Asian store, Elaine, for a couple of
did.
ingredients?
Yeah, I got the black vinegar and the Szechuan pepper powder from the Asian supermarket. They're only a couple of bucks each, which was good, a few dollars. There's also a bit of sugar and water in the marinade, and that's just an easy one. You can come home, marinate it, go get changed, you know, do whatever, and then it's only a few more minutes to cook this, about another, I don't know, 15 minutes. So let's get started. So I'm going to go start cooking, but we're going to skip through the first part where you weigh all those ingredients into your bowl and marinate your chicken. Okay, and now we're going to add 1 clove of garlic, except I'm going to add 2 because I really like flavour.
Go, Elaine.
20 grams of fresh peeled ginger. 20 grams of oil. Add the lid on and the MC. And so that's just going to go 3 seconds, speed 5. Turning that on. Okay, scrape down the sides with my spatula. That was just a quick chop and combine of all those ingredients. I'm just going to push that down. I would say you can, I can bang on my bowl or crack an egg on my bowl if it's out of the machine, but not when it's in the machine, because we always want to respect those scales that are in the feet. So I'm adding 3 to 5 dried chilies, and I've taken the seeds out because I don't want to die. Hubby can take a lot of heat. I'm on the medium side. Okay, add the lid back on. Okay, and that's going to cook for 4 minutes, 100 degrees, speed 1. There we go there. Yeah, so we've got 4 minutes while that's cooking. I can show you
The meat for the taco.
Oh, here we go, the meat for the taco.
Okay, so I've just taken some out to start filling some taco shells,
It smells amazing.
but it does smell amazing. Okay, what have you got for us, Elaine?
Okay, I might show.
Can I just say over here that
Please.
it just says to fill up 10 to 12 taco shells. So we've got plenty of meat with 500 grams or half a kilo. With the minced mixture, some finely shredded iceberg lettuce, which we have over here, some diced tomatoes, and that reserve grated cheese that we did earlier, and top it with sour cream, maybe even a squeeze of lime juice. So I'm going to put some together now.
Sounds good. I might actually also show on here.
Yeah, go for it. I'm done.
I think this, because I know on the other machine isn't updated, so I'm just going to click finish there. Alicia, did you want me to go through the modes? I just want to try and get you a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So the beauty of this amazing TM6, I'm genuinely so in love with. I've been in love with Thermomix for 12 years now, and I honestly didn't understand how much better the TM6 would be from the TM5, but yeah,
Now you've got 2.
I earned my first TM6 signing up as a consultant, and which, you know, it was really, you know, you put effort in, but it was easy, and I was very happy, really happy to get that. And then after a year, my husband's like, why don't you sell the 5 and get another 6, because the whole family just goes to the 6 because it's just so much more user friendly.
It is, yeah. Bigger screen,
yeah.
Wi-Fi's built in.
Yes. So we don't have the cookie hanging off the side, which is awesome.
Does get knocked off.
Yeah, you don't have to fiddle with chips or anything. And if we come to the home screen, so it's all big, really nice big screen, touch screen. And so we swipe to one side for instant cookie dough access, and we swipe, I'll go home, I'll swipe to the other side for the modes. So in the modes we've got, I might try and get you a bit closer. Just don't mind me while I come here. Okay, so we've got the scales, which is just your weighing dough. So you're kneading the dough. Turbo is chopping really super fast. Actually, I didn't mean to do that.
You don't do that to Mummy.
The pre-clean I absolutely love.
Pre-clean, yeah, that's great for post-clean. Why do they call it pre-clean?
So I think because sometimes you do have to finish it off just a tiny bit in the sink. But the pre-clean's amazing, and you select, if I come in here, see how you can select the level that you're cleaning on. So if it's a dough, it's got a special way of getting the dough off the blades and the edges. We've got universal, which is what I use after the kids do smoothies and things like that. You've got fat or caramel, and then browning. So when you're using the fat or caramel I do for whipped cream, because you want to get that greasy fat off properly, and brownings for when you do the high heat cooking. So I'm just going to come back out of there and swipe across. So then we've got blend, which is great for smoothies, that type of thing. Egg boiler is another favorite of mine.
Blend is great when you want to go from a hot bowl of soup to
yes,
blending at high speed, because it works its way up slowly for you. You can just walk away after you've set it.
Yes.
And it just winds itself up safely.
No, that's exactly right. The egg boiler, we've got soft, medium. You know, you can choose how you want your eggs cooked. If you can see that there. Come back. You've got kettle, so boiling water, warm up, thicken for sauces, rice cooker mode, which is just like using a rice cooker. You put all the ingredients straight in the bowl and cook it. Fermentation I use for yogurt, so I steam the yogurt on a controlled temperature for 8 hours. We've got slow cook, sous vide, and the new one is our peeler, which we might get back to later as the next step in my recipe is good to go. So I've got you back on my stand. And here we go. Okay, so add reserved marinated chicken with the juices. I'm just going to tip all that in here. Oh, yeah, there we go. So the chicken was just chicken thigh. It's 500 grams of chicken thigh that I had. I sliced each chicken thigh into about 4 to 5 pieces, or sometimes you get a really huge thigh, kind of like mine. I did that into about 6 pieces. Here we go. Okay, now we're using the splash guard. I'll take the MC off. The splash guard sits on top. Great thing about this is it's got these arms out, so it locks in when the arms close, so kids can't come take it off. And because we're cooking with oil, this covers the whole but loosely, so air can still come out, but you don't have the oil popping off. You know when you're like frying bacon in a pan and it pops and it splashes out? There's no burns like that can happen. You're fully protected. I love the safety of the TM6. It's just always getting better. Okay, so now that's going on 11 minutes, maximum high heat. And there we go. So,
can I show the tacos?
yes.
All right, so I'm not the best at presentation. They're not going to stand up for me. They refuse to. But there you go. So we've got the beautiful beef mince in there with all the lovely seasonings. And we just topped it off with the grated cheese, the lettuce. There's some sour cream in there and some beautiful diced tomato. So I might have to just go off and eat some of these all on my own because you're not here. Bye.
Alicia, did you want to
So
take
we
it?
might just change over to Ange. She's just going to show us the rest of her pizza, and then I'll get started on my dish. I think she's disappeared on us. There she is.
So what I'm actually doing at the moment is the cauliflower is finished cooking, and it says to pour it into it. So you firstly had to run it under cool water in the simmering basket, and then the next step is to pop it in a tea towel and try and squeeze as much water out as possible, because you want it to be fairly sort of as dry as you can, because obviously otherwise your base will end up all runny, and it won't become a nice crust, which is what we want to achieve. So I'm just trying to squeeze out as much as I can. It's actually condensed it down quite small now, which is surprising considering it was 600 grams of cauliflower.
It's amazing how many things are pumped with water, Ange.
Oh, well, it's interesting to see how much water is actually in it. Like, that's all that's left now, which is interesting, isn't it? Considering I had a huge the bowl was probably 3/4 full. I think I've got most of that out now. Give it another go in just a second, but what we'll do is we'll move on. So we want to put the drained cauliflower, the cooked and drained cauliflower. I guess it's like when you make zucchini slice and stuff like that, isn't it? You want to squeeze out as much of the water as the zucchini and the carrots, because they're quite watery. All right. So we'll put the cauliflower back. So we're putting the cooked and drained cauliflower back into the bowl first of all. So this is to finish off making the base. And then what the recipe does is gets you to cook the base first before you add any of your toppings. So I've got 2 eggs, which I've already beaten, to go in next. And then we're going to put in some dried oregano. That to go in. So this will give it some nice flavour rather than just being a bit bland, which you sort of picture with cauliflower. It's sort of a fairly neutrally sort of flavour. And some garlic powder. So both of those will go in. And a little bit of sea salt. So however you want to do that, whether you want to use a teaspoon, whether you want to use your salt grinder, I mean, you know, whatever sort of suits your purpose. And a little bit of black pepper. A little bit of pepper in there. So some of the Parmesan cheese. So we're going to put in 35 grams of the Parmesan cheese that we did earlier. So again, that's just going to give the base a really nice flavour. Go. And pop the lid back on. So this is, I picture, is going to be a bit more of a batter as compared to a dough, like the normal pizza base recipe. So if you've ever made a gluten-free pizza base, most of those are more like a batter as opposed to a dough. So what we're going to do is we're going to transfer it to a prepared tray. So just showing you what it looks like. So see how it's more, it's not a dough, that's for sure. So we're just going to pop that on the tray. And then we're going to spread it out so that we can flatten it into our base and do the first cooking part of it. So that's it. That's pretty much everything out of the bowl. And so now it recommends using a flat spatula. So I've got this great one that I bought from the mix shop. So it's got like a little bend in it. So it's really great for that sort of thing. So for smoothie icing or anything like that. I'm just going to, a flat circle says to make it roughly 30 centimetres. So I'm just going to spread that out. And then the recipe says that we're going to bake it. So we're going to bake it for 10 minutes and then I'm going to flip the base over so to cook the other side as well. So we're going to bake it for a further 10 minutes. I'm just trying to get it sort of to make a nice even base. There we go. I reckon that's pretty good. So I'll pop that in the oven now and give that 10 minutes and then we'll come back and show you how it looks. So you're going to go on now, Alicia?
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Righto.
Hello. So I am going to show you the cuisine of Indians. So I would love to hear from all of you what your favorite Indian dish is. One of our family favorites and something that is pretty much everyone's favorite, I feel, is butter chicken. So the great thing about butter chicken, there are vegetarian alternatives of this because you cook the chicken separately, you make the sauce and then add the chicken in later. So it's not something that you can't obviously eat if you are vegetarian or that way inclined. So I'm going to just stop blurring my background for a second. I'm just going to go none. So you guys can see. So I've pre-done some things, some elements already. So we've got our pan or grilled chicken. So you can just grill that in a griller in your oven. But what I used is just one of those frying pans that have the lines in it. So I've just grilled up all the chicken. The recipe does say 800 grams of chicken, but I had almost 1.5 kilos of chicken because it is a lot of sauce when you make butter chicken. The other element that we've already done is the spices. So what you need to do at the start is you need to dry roast the spices first. You let it rest for a minute and then you mill it down to make the spices. So the spices are your ground cumin or cumin seeds. You've got your coriander seeds. And then you've got your garam masala, which you can also make in your Thermomix. So if you've got all your Indian spices, you can make this one yourself. And then it was also a cinnamon quill as well. So I'm just going to, I've got my phone over the top of my Thermomix. So I'm just going to replace the spotlight so you can see that. Now, like I said, we got the chicken ready. So in order to get the chicken ready, all you needed to do was place a bowl on top of the Thermomix and you would weigh in your chicken first. So that's your very first step that you do. So this is where you're starting your marinating process for your butter chicken. Then what you would do is you would use freshly squeezed lemon juice to pour over your chicken. And then what you would do after that was to season it with salt over the chicken. And then you would mix it all together. Then what you would then add is natural yogurt and tandoori paste. Now, tandoori paste, you can purchase it, but nothing is the same by making it yourself. And honestly, tandoori paste is one of the most staple things that you can have, and it is freezable. So you can just have it in your freezer at any time and use it as you go. So 120 grams of tandoori paste. Now, once you've got your marinade mixture, you can marinate it for a minimum of 20 minutes or overnight. Now, remembering with Indian food, it's usually better the next day because the flavors have started to settle. So if you don't have time to marinate, don't worry about it. Just keep on going. So you won't have to worry about that process. But if you do think ahead and want to be really prepped and ready for your butter chicken, I would highly recommend doing it overnight. Then again, we need to cook our chicken. So we've done that as well. So you can just line a baking tray, pop it in your griller, and do it that way. Or what you could do, like I said, I just use a grilling frying pan and I just fried it all up, the chicken. Then, like I said, we make our spice mixture. So we dry roast it in the Thermomix and then we blend it up after it's cooled down for a minute to make that powdered consistency. So I'm just going to skip ahead. The other thing I wanted to show you really quickly is your black cardamom pods. Now, people just think cardamom pods, you can just get them from the supermarket, which you can get your green version, but black cardamom pods, which I'll show you here, they're kind of like a seed or a nut, and they're quite large. So they're going to give off a different flavor. So most Indian cooking will use a black cardamom pod. They are hard to source, but if you're going to like an Indian grocer or a Chinese grocer, they normally have them available for you. Or I know Ange orders stuff online and gets it delivered to her house. So she might be able to give us some insight what that place is called if you are an online shopper. And then after we do that, like I said, we cook that off. So it gets you to pour that spices into a bowl, but you don't have to clean and dry your bowl for the next step, which is awesome. So if you refuse to clean and dry your bowl, you can do that. Now, Emma, with my black cardamom pods and Kashmiri chili powder, if you are buying that for the tandoori paste, I get both of those from Beaumont Street. Raj's Takeaway, so Indian Takeaway, they have a grocer right next door. So I get them from them. Now, the next step is our fresh ingredients, which is onion. So we're going to pop in our onion. So it's getting our onion to cut in half. My onion was quite large, so I just kind of quartered it. So you can see that. Now, Sharon was talking before about how she had her onion quite chunky. The reason you have your onion quite chunky to begin with is because it works like a frying pan. So you think of your high heat, it rotates and browns your onions. Now, if you get the Thermomix to chop your onion, then what it will do is sit underneath the blade and it will saute and sweat underneath. So you're getting two different flavors. So with your high heat function, with your TM6, it's going to rotate and brown everything for you. Now, what it's getting us to add in with the onion is some ghee. Now, I don't have that, but you could absolutely have that. So if you've never heard of ghee before, it's just clarified butter. So pretty much what you can do in your Thermomix is you can cook down your butter. I think it's, from memory, I think it's about 30 minutes. And what it does is it ends up with the oil component of the butter, and all of the whey goes to the top and it kind of makes a crumb. So then you're getting like a dairy-free version of an oil. So ghee is used a lot in Indian cooking. And if you are wanting to do that too. So I'm just going to use oil today instead of the ghee. So what I love about the recipes, even though it says something, Google will be your best friend when it comes to substitutes. So if you don't have something, just type in a substitute to ghee and it will tell you it's oil. So then you're not having to buy extra things that you probably necessarily wouldn't have or use. Now, like the girls have been using today is the splash guard. So I'm just going to grab that out. Now, your splash guard, I know the girls have been describing it, but it's also, if you think of a frying pan, there's a lot of splatter and spitting when it comes to high heat things, like whether it's your onion or your meat. So this little baby here protects you, the Thermomix, and all the splatter. So that's why it's called the splash guard. And the great thing is it won't let you continue the recipe until you've done that. So what we're going to do, it's a really long sauteing process. So we're browning process, sorry, not sauteing. It's going to saute brown, sorry, for 10 minutes. And the reason why is it's going to get all of that rich flavor out of your onion and make it very caramelized. So we're just going to pop that on now for 10 minutes. Awesome. So while that's going, I might, Elaine, are you all good for me to swap over to you?
Yeah, so I actually just, I did, there was only one other step after the high heat, and that was to add in the shallots that I cut into, it was about 4 centimeter pieces. So yeah, I've added that and there it is. And I'm just about to dish that up. Yeah, and it smells really
Do you
good.
want to put it on here, Elaine?
Yes, okay, yeah. So I've already got my
I'll
plate
hold that for you.
ready. Here we go. Thank you.
Can you see that then? Hang on, let's get it up here where everyone can see it. So what have you got on your plate so far? Some rice.
Previous to cooking this, I just did the rice in the steamer basket with the veggies cooking on top in the Varoma.
Nice.
Yeah, which is my go-to. Carrot and broccoli are my go-to veggies.
Because that's what kids will eat.
Exactly. And I've been hearing, oops, sorry, Chaz, hearing all the praises of broccoli, of how it's just like one of the most amazing vegetables for us. Let me get some of that sauce.
Good to know. Yeah, let's get that sauce on.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Now, I did a bit of research, and some people, so if you didn't want to go to the Asian grocer, people do, I might get a bit more chicken actually.
Done.
I do love a good chicken. There we go. So there's our takeaway dinner, chicken kung pao, or kung pao chicken, sorry, with rice and veggies. So it's healthy, it's so quick and easy.
And what was your alternatives you were telling them about?
Oh, well, alternatives is just, I don't even know because I don't order Chinese takeaway because it just doesn't sit well with the family. So yeah, this cooking Chinese at home is what we do. So yeah, the alternative, sorry, yeah. The black vinegar. If you don't have black vinegar, you can use rice wine vinegar. And the Szechuan chili, I couldn't find at Coles or Woolies. I think it depends on your location and demographics as to the levels of like Asian or Indian ingredients type thing with Coles and Woolies. But white pepper is the best alternative for Szechuan pepper.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And Elaine and I have been tucking into the tacos. Have fun.
Oh, I'm so jealous. We might switch over to Ange now. I think she's just taken her cauliflower base out.
Yeah.
I am. So it's just done the first 10 minutes of cooking. I'm not sure how this is going to go. Yep, okay.
Maybe just get like another piece of baking paper, Ange.
Yes, that's one I prepared earlier. Josh had that exact same suggestion. So here we are. When I'm going, oh, how am I going to make this work? So here we go. I've got another pizza tray. So we're literally going to flip.
Oh, professional. Look at you go.
No, we'll see how it works. Huh? We'll see how successful. Winner. Look at that. All right. So I'm going to put that back in the oven and then I can then go on with making the pizza toppings if you're okay with that. At least it's a couple of minutes to saute, so I can do that.
Awesome.
So I'll just set 10 minutes on my timer. Now this recipe is really good. It actually gives you the options for making the toppings all at the same time. So that's what we're going to do. So it uses a quarter of an onion and a clove of garlic. So we'll put them in there and 20 grams of cauliflower. And in there too. And pop the lid back on. Give it a little blitz. Excellent. Scrape down the sides. So the oil's not a good actually when you put it on beforehand, like when you put it in with when you're weighing it initially before you do your initial blitz. It means it kind of doesn't splatter your onion and garlic quite so much, and it doesn't stick to the sides. So it means that everything you're able to scrape down those sides much easier rather than, as you probably know, your garlic sticks quite a lot. So what we'll do there is we'll pop it on for the 3 minutes. Now my other dough is now finished. I'm happy with the proof on that. So all I'm going to do is unwrap that, and then I'm going to just wrap it up break it in half and wrap it up in Glad wrap, and then it'll be ready to put in the freezer for me to use at another time. So obviously, this this recipe makes enough for 2 pizza bases, or it's actually a really great recipe if you want to make one big pizza base. If you've got people coming over, it's really great, even with the rosemary and the garlic from the original Pizza Bianca recipe, to do that, to make one big base. And it's great, as I said, when you're entertaining or anything like that, or again, you just feel like an easy pizza night. Perfect for that. So everybody has their own way of sort of doing it and putting it in the freezer. If you've got room, you might want to roll it out flat and keep it that way. I kind of don't have enough room, so I find it easier just to store it in a ball in the freezer. And then, as I said, then I can grab it when we're ready, defrost it, and it's good to go. So by putting it in the freezer, that will stop the yeast from growing any further. So I do recommend getting it in the freezer as soon as you can once you've wrapped it. Otherwise, it will continue to rise and it will expand out of your glad wrap, so, which has happened before.
You can also roll out your pizza dough from this stage too. And what you can then do is, if you're wanting to put all your toppings on now and freeze in the freezer, so what you would use is a freezer bag and some baking paper, and then you can stack them in the freezer. So it's like having takeaway pizza, but on the go. Or you can leave them plain like that, because another thing that I love is if you've got leftover butter chicken, as an example, you could have gourmet pizzas instead.
Fabulous pizzas, doesn't it? Exactly.
Or tandoori pizza, whatever flavor you wish.
Yeah, definitely. It just depends on your storage room, but yeah, then that makes it feel like a super easy meal by just being able to grab it out and whack it in the oven when you get home from work, or whatever you're doing, or as I said, just an easy dinner on a weekend or lunch or whatever suits. So this is just finishing sauteing the onion and the garlic, and then we've got a few bits to add in for making this sauce. And I've got 6 minutes on my base, so that's winning. So we'll get that done. So this recipe is suitable for the TM5 or the TM6. It doesn't matter. It's not a TM6 recipe only. So that's that part done. So now, it smells really good. I'm going to add in the passata. So 180 grams of passata. There we go. Again, some dried oregano for some flavour. A little bit of sugar. So up to you whether you put that in or whether you don't. I've got the sugar here on the bench, so I'm just going to use just a little bit. Also some salt and some pepper. So a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Put in. Now it recommends using your simmering basket to actually do this cooking component of the sauce. So I've got my simmering basket from earlier. So all it is it's just allowing that steam to escape and allow some of that water and that liquid to evaporate. So that's going to now do that simmering of the passata with the herbs in it for about 5 minutes. So if you want to go back to you, Alicia.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 cameras, so you'll see me and the Thermomix. So I'm just going to add both of them. So it's just gone off now. Take that off. So I'm just going to give that a quick stir, but I don't know if you guys can see. I wonder if I can move that in closer. But you can see that caramelization without the steam hitting you guys, but all the caramelization on the base of the Thermomix bowl. So like Sharon said before, just give it a little quick stir. But you can see the caramelization around that. And remembering that with onion and caramelization, it does it throughout the recipe. It's not just at the start. So if you feel like it's not quite caramelized enough yet, it will definitely be by the end of the recipe. So just doing that. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in the reserved spices that we milled up before, avoiding the blades. So we just kind of pop it in. So you can see there, I've avoided the top of the blade. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but if you ever grind in like pepper or salt or anything like that directly onto the top of the blade, it doesn't get caught by the actual blade itself because it kind of sits on where the butterfly would normally sit. So then we're going to add in our fresh herbs. So we've got ginger, we've got 2 garlic cloves, but I measure garlic by my heart. So I've got 4 garlic cloves. So again, measure with your heart and love. And then we've got a green chili. Now it says 2 long green chilies. Now I normally just do half of one, but it is optional and you will get a mild curry, but ensuring it is a long green chili and not your bullseye chilies or your red chilies, because then you'll start getting a really spicy curry. So all we're going to do with that now is we're just going to insert the measuring cup on this one, and we're just going to cook that for 2 minutes. So we're just going to do that now. While that's going, I'll show you what I've already pre-done. So in the comments, I would love to know who has a thermoserver or who knows what a thermoserver is. So I've got an oval thermoserver here and I've pre-made some boiled rice or steamed rice, just using the function. So like Elaine said, just in the simmering gasket. So this is 350 grams of rice and this is a 2.5 litre thermoserver. So you can see just how much rice is in that now. So what I'm going to do is I have a very hungry partner that is having this curry as soon as it's made. So I'm going to give him some rice in a bowl with the curry. And then what I'm going to do with the oval thermoserver is have half with the rice and half with the curry. So the great thing about that is if you are entertaining, you can have it presented and served out really well. But the thermoserver, it's not just about what it looks like or presenting or entertaining. It's about the fact that it makes everything stay hot, like piping hot, for 2 hours or hot enough to eat after 4 hours, which means you don't have to reheat anything and you can serve straight up. If you're coming home at different times to your partner or the kids or sporting events, you've got the opportunity to be able to eat at separate times. But what I do love, especially for all you new mamas out there or have had a baby before, is the fact that you can still cook at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when your child is being good before witching hour, which means you can eat later on once they are down out of that witching hour period. So hot tip for there. So thermoservers, if you don't have one, because you've attended a virtual cooking experience tonight, and if you have anyone that you know that wants to buy a Thermomix, you can host your own online event, or you can get in touch with your consultant and find out how you can get a thermoserver. So we're just going to scrape down now so you can see all of those spices. So we're starting to create that base of the butter chicken. So I'm just going to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an extra step. So what you can do on your Thermomix is you can get out of it. So press the little house button on your screen. I might move this rice out of the way and I can quickly show you what I mean by that. There we go. So if you're in a recipe itself, if you just click on the little house, it'll bookmark exactly where you're up to. And I'm just going to, just because it doesn't have it in the recipe, I want to chop up the onion and the garlic and the chili. So I'm just going to go 4 seconds on speed 7. That's better. leaves better. So now we're going to add in the whole tomatoes. And some water. Like what Sharon said before, using the measuring cup. So I very rarely get out a jug to do water. I always use the measuring cup for water. Now the measuring cup is 100 mils. So I'm needing 70 grams now of water. Then we're going to add in 70 grams of cashews. So I've just got natural cashews, so unsalted. Now, again, if you can't have cashews for any reason, you can use any seed or any nut. So it doesn't really matter what you're doing. And just like what Anne said before, because we're using the tomato paste, we need to add the simmering basket on top. So it's kind of like making jam. What it allows, using the simmering basket, is allows all the steam to escape, reduce down by half, and cook all at the same time. So it's allowing us to do all of those processes at once. And then we're just going to cook that off for 7 minutes. And then
I can come back in if you want.
I will stop sharing with that one.
I can finish
There
off my
on. There we are. There we go.
radio.
I'm going to remove myself first. There we go.
So the cauliflower base is now finished. So it smells really nice, and it's got more of a spongier sort of texture than what I was thinking it might have been. And the colour's really cool. So it's actually started to like brown off a little bit on top. Now my sauce is all finished. So this will make the base for it. So you pop that on top. Spread that out. So it's just going to give it just a really nice flavour, like rather than using normal tomato paste. Spread that out. Makes a very generous amount too, which is nice.
I just wish everyone could smell all of the smells coming from them.
I know, right? Because that butter chicken smells amazing while it's cooking. I like cooking it in the bowl rather than grilling the chicken.
Yeah, well, you could definitely do that. If you don't want to grill chicken for the butter chicken, definitely do what Anne said and just chuck it in the bowl if you don't have time.
Yeah.
It just gives it a different flavour to all the different elements.
Yeah, it does. It's it's good. So all I'm doing is this one is simple. It's just with pepperoni on top. So I'm just putting some pepperoni on, spreading that out. It's supposed to have mozzarella cheese, but I didn't have any, so it doesn't matter. So I'm just using normal tasty cheese, which will be fine for my purposes. And that little bit of leftover Parmesan. So I'm just going to pop that on top too. And the cheese. Because you always want lots of cheese on a pizza. Now, I do understand that this is probably not dairy-free, but I'm sure that there are options out there that you could use instead to still get that same yummy taste and still make it a pizza and still be able to enjoy your pizza.
So Emma just said you could make cashew cheese.
Yeah, which I've done before, and I've used that in like potato bake stuff, which is actually really nice. Instead of using a cream or something, you use the cashew cream instead. That one's really good. That one's out of the Plant to Plate, I think, that recipe. So there we go. So that's done. So now I'm going to put that back into the oven and cook it for another 10 minutes, which says until the top is golden and bubbling. So that sounds really good. So then I'll give it a try and see how it goes, hey? And then the best bit about cleanup is just being able to use the pre-clean, give the bowl a clean, give it a swish, and then it will go for me straight in the dishwasher. So how are you going, Alicia? How much longer have you got on yours?
So we are almost done for that one. I'm just safely cooling down as it does. So we've got to wait 20 seconds before our lid opens. So let me just replace you. There we go. And awesome. So I'm just waiting for it to sing at me. Here we go. Now we are going to add in. Now this is a flavor that not everybody loves. It's called coriander. So I am adding it in tonight. Shock horror, I'm not someone who loves coriander, but for the purpose of this recipe and for getting out of my comfort zone, here we go. So we've got that. What you could also use, if you would like, is parsley, if you prefer, rather than coriander. And then we're going to add in 20 grams of unsalted butter. Again, I just kind of measure with love. I don't really follow it to the T, but again, if you want to do that, then you can. Now, you know how before I said, oh, it doesn't really chop it down. We're going to blend. So we're going to blend that sauce now. So the tomatoes, the cashews, the onion, the garlic, the ginger, the chili, and the butter and the coriander. So for 1 minute, and we have our blend function. So like Elaine was talking about before, the preset function is your blend function. So now we're going to add in our chicken once the bowl opens. Go. Look at that sauce. How amazing. So what I love is it's the fact that it is the color like you would normally purchase at an Indian shop. So we're just going to add in. So we've got roughly about just over 1 kilo of sauce. So just keeping that in mind. So hence why I've added more chicken. So it does ask for 800 grams, but like I said, I've done almost 1.5 kilos without having to change the recipe. Thigh is an easy one to be able to do that. Chicken breast, not so much, because it is injected with so much water. It does give out a lot of water. So you'll end up with really watery consistencies. Sometimes with breast as well, it does, if it's cut too small, it will kind of shred in your Thermomix. So if you can, and you do like thigh, I would highly recommend just using that and not changing it to breast. But if you don't like thigh, again, you can do breast instead. But you just won't be able to do exactly what I'm doing right now. Pushing the limits. So you can see all that grilled chicken. So now what we're going to add in is a teaspoon of garam masala. Just going to grab a teaspoon. So lightly stir. So kind of just, I just like to push that chicken into the sauce. Then we're going to insert the lid and the measuring cup. And we're just going to cook that for 3 minutes on 120 degrees on speed 1. So yeah, that's what we're going to do now. And then after that, so you can go into like the recipe detail to see kind of how to get prepared for the next step if you wanted to. So the next step, all we need to do after that is add the remaining amount of butter, so 20 grams, and add some cream. Now, if you don't want full cream, you can obviously do your coconut creams and things like that as well. And then all you need to do is garnish with cashews, some coriander leaves, use some rice, bread, naan bread, anything of your choice. So that's pretty much butter chicken. So I'm just going to stop, remove that one. Awesome. So while we're kind of waiting for everything to kind of finish off, what I would love, Shaz, if you've got any tacos left, I would love for you to come on screen and show your end result. Elaine, if you've got anything left as well, please come on and I can share everyone's screens. And I think yours is in the oven, isn't it, Ange? Yeah. Did you eat it all, Sharon? Oh, no, hang on, let me share. And remove. News are muted, I can't hear you.
Oh,
Sorry. Yep.
yeah, we ate all the tacos.
Sharon invited the kids in and they
Demolished it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Elaine
Yeah.
was polishing off that dish that we
Oh, look
showed.
at that.
Sorry.
It was really tasty. Oh, and the last thing I forgot to do in front of you guys was add just some chopped peanuts on top.
Oh, yeah.
Which really makes the difference.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
All right, we've all been eating over here, having a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you want to have a cooking class, we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of eating going on.
Absolutely. So I might bring up that cookie dough again
Sorry.
and show you some really cool features as well. So one thing that is coming, and you may have seen some communications go out from Thermomix, is Cookie Dough 3.0. So everyone that owns a Thermomix currently, anyone that's getting a Thermomix in the future, you'll be able to have access to Cookie Dough 3.0. And what that means is, I'm just going to log back in because it's kicked me out. There we go. What that means is when you go to My Recipes, you can create your own recipes. And what that means is if anything off the recipe community or any recipes that you're currently doing now yourself, you're able to upload them for your use only to Cookie Dough. And it means the step-by-step process on the front of your Thermomix, you'll be able to get the same process using Cookie Dough 3.0. So I'm really excited. On the 29th of November, customers and consultants will have access to this. So they'll be able to have a play. I've been lucky enough as a team leader to be able to have a play with this as well. My team next week for their team meeting, I'm going to give them all of my login. So they'll be able to have have a go at it before the 29th, which I'm super excited for all of them to be able to get in and have a go. Of course, my Thermomix is stopped as soon as I share a screen. So I'm just going to go back to that one. There we go. So I'm going to add in the remaining amount of butter. Oh, I think I went too far. Cool. And then we're going to add some cream. I'm just going to run to the fridge and grab it. So I'm just using normal cream, but like I said, you could use coconut cream. Awesome. And we're just cooking that off for 1 minute on reverse on 90 degrees. And that is it. Go. Share this screen again, guys. Sorry. Okay, so if you haven't used Cookie Dough before, or you have it, but you just kind of need a little bit more support in that space, I'm going to do really quick crash course on how it all works. So we've already used the search function, so I've already showed you that component. Now, when it comes to saving recipes, you can create playlists or what they call collections. So it means if you've got any favorite recipes off this site, you can collate them into, say, drinks and dinners and snacks. Or if you have someone that's vegetarian or gluten-free, you've got all different collections you can reference to with all of your recipes. Now, when you do search, you can just search nothing. So just hit enter. And then with your up here, the left-hand corner, you can go collections. and that will bring up cookbooks for you. And I'm going to take off United Kingdom and United States, and then that will just have all the Australian cookbooks that are available to you. So if you go into any of them, so we'll go into Butter It Up as an example, you can save that whole cookbook if that's something that you love and you like all the recipes, or you can click these 3 little dots and go add to collection, and then you can name your collections whatever you like. So you can see how I've created all different versions of collections there, so I can just quick reference to them at any time. So I've even got like Mexican Fiesta. So about a year or so ago, pre-COVID, we had a Mexican cooking class at Wallsend where we were able to showcase the Thermomix doing Mexican dishes. So some of the girls tonight were there. Curries in a hurry, so you can name them and be really creative with all of those. What you can do, which is my favorite feature, is add to my week. So you just select any day. And then what you can then do is go add to my shopping list. And then if we go my week, that will then bring up what we're cooking today. But over in the right-hand corner, or if you're on your app, down the bottom of your app, it'll have the shopping list. So we're going to go show ingredients. Now, if you were shopping at the shops, it'll go by category. So it'll tell you what section to kind of go to at the shops. If you go by recipes, it'll give you the individual recipes of what to get. Now, if you want to, which is another awesome new feature, is order ingredients. What it will then do is it'll bring up Woolworths. So Woolworths are the only company that are on board right now. And then it will send you to Woolworths online, and it will tell you how much you need in your Thermomix and what it's ordering you. If you don't like that brand, you can swap it out for something else. And etc. And then you just hit order. So you could do click and collect, you could do delivery, whatever you want. So like I said, Cookie Do, you can use it for searching recipes purely. You can use it for creating your own playlists or collections, and you can use it to be organized as well, which is awesome. And then that new feature that's coming is to be able to add all of your favorite recipes that you love. Now, if you love skinny mixes or quirky cooking or anything like that, it is copyright, so you can't just copy and paste their recipes. If you change your recipes by 10%, then you can obviously save them on Cookie Do. So just remembering that, so you're not getting any court cases or anything like that because you are stealing their recipes. So just FYI. So I'm going to quickly check my butter chicken. What I might do is I'm going to change over cameras, and then I can show you how to serve it up. I'll move all this out of the way. Oh, that's really heavy. So what you would then do is you would grab some rice. And then you would grab some of the butter chicken. There we go.
Thank you.
And then what we're going to do is we're just going to pour out that butter chicken into the thermo server. And like I said, you've got your rice on one side and your butter chicken on the other side. And then you've got lots and lots of leftovers. So it does make, like I said, it does make a lot of sauce. So if you can, I would highly recommend adding more chicken to your recipe. So, and I think, Ange, did you want to show your pizza?
Yep, sure can. So pizza's now all done and it smells amazing. A bit of the oils come out from the cheese, but that's probably with me using, as I said, tasty cheese rather than using mozzarella. So it's probably just that little bit of a difference. So I have cut some. So I was going to give it a little try and tell you what it was like. Oh. Let's see. The herbs and the spices in it are really nice. You can really taste that oregano, which is really nice. Yeah, it's definitely not doughy like a normal pizza base. So if you're not a real big fan of that heavy doughy flavor, it's definitely much lighter than that. So yeah, so well worth the effort in terms of making it and trying out something different, and yeah, just a different kind of pizza base, and yeah, trying out something new. So I hope everyone's enjoyed it, and maybe this will be your next creation. That butter chicken, it looks amazing, by the way, Alicia. It looks so good. I think you're on mute, are you?
Yeah, I was like, I can't talk. Awesome. So thank you so much, guys. We've gone a little bit over time, but thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know I've definitely had fun, and I know the girls have also had fun. So there is an awesome promotion. If you've taken it up this November, then congratulations to you. Our bowl, which is valued, so this bowl here, which is valued at $375, you can get it with a Thermomix purchase this month for $29. So they're pretty much throwing bowls out the door. So we are limited stock at the moment. We're down to our last 3,000. Now, I can assure you, once we get down to 1,000, they will literally go so quickly. So this offer is on until the 2nd of December, but we're anticipating we will sell out by the 25th of November. So please, if you are wanting to purchase a Thermomix, or you know someone that desperately wants to get a Thermomix on their bench, I would highly recommend them getting it now versus later. We have introduced some new payment options. So we do have Afterpay now, which is a very flexible way to get a Thermomix. Our interest-free, we've got 36 months interest-free. So $17 a week, you can have a Thermomix on your bench today. Our awesome easy 3 option, and also our outright option. So if you do know anybody that is looking at getting a Thermomix, or they're still on the fence, then now is the time. In 7 years of my consultancy business, I have never seen an offer like this. And I know Shaz can back me on this one, because Sharon, is it 14 years you've been around for?
Yeah.
So Sharon's been around for a very long time as well. Pretty much started Newcastle Thermomix. So thank you, Sharon, for introducing everyone up here. But yeah, if you have any questions or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to your consultant if they are on. Or if you don't have a consultant, please get in contact with me, and I'm more than happy to have someone support you as well. But thank you guys so much. And I hope you all have a great night.
Let's see.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.